Hello, all my fellow dentites. I've got 2 words for you today. You know what those are? The Schmedster. I don't know if all of you are as excited as I am tonight about who our guest is going to be, but Troy Schmedding is not only a great clinician, he's an awesome guy. He's a great friend of the Dinks, and he's going to be our guest tonight. I just had to throw that out there in case any of you thought about leaving prematurely for whatever reason. I can't imagine you'd ever want to do that. But the Schmedster is with us tonight, Troy Schmedding. So we're excited about that. Welcome to Dentists in the Know. This is your backstage pass for current trends, politics, and education in the dental world. It is live, and as always, it is over a cocktail. And as usual, I am with my great friends and amigos and fellow dentites, Dr. Chad Duplantis and Dr. Jennifer Bell. What you may or may not know is that we are all dentists, we are all business owners, and we are all clinical instructors. And our job is to bring all of you in the know.
I just want to say a couple of things. One, first off, we would be amiss if we didn't acknowledge the week that we're in. I don't know about you all, but this year Monday hit me harder than it usually does. I mean, I was kind of listening to the events of 9/11, and maybe I'm at an age where like I should start listening to the Weather Channel more often. I don't know, but anyhow, Monday hit me a little harder. I got to watch, and listen to the events of 9/11, and it just, we'd be amiss if we didn't, just pay our respects to those that were fallen during that time, and those that we lost so unnecessarily. So just want to say our thoughts and prayers are with all of those families of the loved ones that were lost on 9/11 and such a horrible tragedy to our country. And on a more positive note, I just want to say that we've really been working on the schedule for the events of this show. And there is a lot of really exciting stuff happening in the dental industry that we're going to be able to talk about over the next month or two. So stay tuned. We've got some great guests for September. We're starting to really get some great guests for October. And I just think there's going to be a lot of great opportunities, not just for us to discuss, but for our listeners to participate and potentially maybe invest in some new products for their office at a greatly discounted price. So good stuff ahead.
I love it. And we've just been working in the background for so long now, just trying to bring you like some of the best content. And again, it's always going to be vetted. It's always going to be trustworthy. Would always be 100% right? Well, we might find out 10 years later, but I can tell you that it has been vetted by us. And as of the time that we're bringing you the best information that we absolutely can. And with that said, there are just so many cool things about to happen. So I'm so excited to be in this with you guys. I'm so excited of what's ahead. And guys, tell all your friends, guys and gals, tell all your friends. This is the time to really embrace Dentists in the Know, because we have a lot of cool stuff coming down the pike. So with that said, JB, do you have any news for us?
Of course, I always do. And I missed last week. So, the stories just stack up.
Can I just say one thing before you start?
Please.
Schmedster.
Yeah.
I just want to say that once before you start.
We're so excited to have him on.
Yeah. It's not just a him. He takes on a whole persona.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. He's not just he's in everything.
To date, I've never had a bad time with him.
Yeah. His pronoun is everything.
There you go. I like that.
That's actually a good tagline. My pronoun is everything.
All encompassing.
You gotta.
Why you gotta make it bigger?
Give me the beat. Give me everything up, Chad.
All right, JB, take it away.
I've kind of moved to producer status now. If I have to beep every time, I'm going to have to pay more attention to what they say, which I mean, I always do. So anyway, let's talk about some news. So interesting statistics came out. As you know, the ADA continues to put out their HPI each month as they've been tracking different data points since about 2019 and then doing comparisons to sort of watch the industry. This particular one had some migratory, Chad, that means moving pieces of information in there. Most importantly, it showed the movement of dentists over the last 3 years. So it tracked dentists from 2019 to 2022. You will not be surprised to learn that it is following the same migration as what we're seeing in population swings as well. So we saw the greatest increase of dentists moving into Florida, followed by Arizona and North Carolina. Those were full, like real numbers. So the number of dentists. The greatest percentage actually was in Idaho, where they went from 860 some to 900 and some odd, maybe 920 dentists for the state, which is crazy to think about. They have that many, and North Carolina has around 5,200. So definitely seeing the population shift even in Idaho, where folks are moving into that state, and the licensing population is increasing as well. And no surprise that we saw, I got to mute these text messages. Also, no surprise that we saw a decrease. Oh my gosh, a decrease in population movement out of Massachusetts had the largest percentage decrease, and New York had the largest number of dentists to leave the state. So that's pretty consistent with what we're seeing with migratory patterns of people in general moving out of New England area and moving into a lot of the southern, southwestern, and southeastern states. Moving on, we added this story in for Jeff because I know he loves his trash TV. We've talked about this before, but just wanted to let you know, for all those big Bachelor fans out there that just love the series, and I definitely have participated in a Bachelor party once or twice, but there'll never be another Trisha and Ryan. I'm sorry, I had to say it. Anyway, the new series of Bachelor is a Golden Bachelor, which means that the women that they are bringing on the show fall between the ages of 60 and 75. You'll be happy to know there will be a dental hygienist who will be joining the League of 21 Women. Peggy, with an unknown last name at this time, 69, from East Haven, Connecticut. A dental hygienist will be joining the cast. So we'll be tuning in to see if dental hygiene makes its way to the top 3. Another big announcement that came out of Align last week is one of their press releases. They acquired a 3D printing company called Cubicure, for $84.5 million. What I did not know was that Align is one of the largest 3D printing companies in the world. And so it only seems to make sense that they would be aligning themselves with a large 3D printing company. Where this will take them, with their thermal technologies and moving maybe more in the 3D printing arena. Who knows? I think they have a lot of opportunity here, but that was a big change in alignment for vertical integration for Align last week. Lastly, I wanted to make note that the EU, which has been pretty restrictive on amalgam use, and they definitely have come out pretty strong with some strong language to eliminate the use of amalgam in dental practices. They had a target date of 2028. They have now moved that up to 2025. So it is their intent to eliminate the use of amalgam across the EU countries as of January 1 of 2025. So why is this important? Well, certainly as EU goes, the regulatory agencies in the US will watch those things pretty closely. A lot of the policies are already being based on other policies that came out of other countries and areas that sort of has sparked this debate on amalgam. So it'll be interesting to see if this movement or change in the EU has any impact on the regulatory use of amalgam in patients here in the US. We'll keep you posted if we see anything new. And with that, that's the news.
Our guest tonight happens to be one of the coolest people in dentistry. I can say that he's a great friend, a great confidant. We talk a lot about stupid crap and dentistry, and whenever we're around him, we just happen to have fun. But with that being said, I would be amiss if I didn't say that he was an accredited member of the AACD. He's out of the Bay Area in California. I won't hold that against him. His son goes to college in Iowa. His daughter's about to go to college. He's married. He's used to teach at UOP. And I think, Troy, did I miss anything?
No, I think you're pretty close. Yeah, I think it's pretty
good.
And he's
doing,
a handsome
buddy?
son of a bitch.
Jesus. I know where this is going tonight. This is going to be good.
No, it's always so backing up just a little bit, when we started talking about this show a while back, and we started going through some changes, we realized that every single week we're going to need some people to kind of be regulars. And Troy, you are just, we have 3 dinks and a donk and Ryan Walsh. I think you're kind of a donk too, dude, and take that as a compliment. I mean, you're just a regular. You're a friend of the show. You're a very knowledgeable dentist, and it's an honor to have you here, buddy. We hope that you will come back and join us many, many more times.
Oh, I really appreciate that. It's you guys hold a special place in my heart, and I just really am impressed by what you guys do. I think it's awesome what you do, bringing a little fun to dentistry. I mean, we all know that dentistry is a grind, right? I mean, it's a grind. And I think one of the best things about the platforms and maybe the COVIDs or whatever, and bringing out our ability to get on a Zoom call or whatever is this, right? We can bring, I don't even know how many people are on your show, but just having that ability for us to shed a little light on dentistry in a direction that's not overly serious. And we're not talking about cramming numbers and how we're going to get more production. And, that's not what it's all about, right? I mean, it's all about having fun in dentistry and having fun in life. It's one of those situations that if you're not having a little bit of fun, then you're doing it all backwards. And you guys really bring that to the forefront. And I think I'm just honored to be here whenever you guys give me the opportunity, because you guys are a great group, and you deserve a lot of pats on the back, because I think you've probably helped a lot of people just being able to communicate and get out there and share what they're feeling. I know you guys have questions and polls and different things you do on Facebook, and I am occasionally get in and read some of those. And it's just great. It's just great for people to be able to vent their situation, have an understanding that they're not the only ones in the boat, right? We're all kind of in that big boat together. And so it's nice that you guys do this, and thank you for having me. And I would be on every week if you guys wanted me to. So thanks again. And
that sounded like a commitment.
Yeah.
That was a contract.
Contract's in the mail.
That was a verbal contract.
Yeah, and JB, I know you have his address. Did you go ahead and write that check this afternoon?
Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
I mean, those were really nice words, man. I mean, we know we have to pay for that, so thank you very much.
By the way, that's a big mug.
Yeah. So,
nice use of the button.
yeah, some of the best podcasts that I listen to in dentistry, it's like, let's just see where this takes us. So basically, I want to start here today. I want to start, and we're going to roundtable this, but I know that there's when I look through social media, there's a lot of dentists right now that have questions about their career. There's a lot of people looking for side gigs. There's a lot of people looking for a way out. My question is let's go back, and I'm going to say, I know you and I are about the same age, so let's go back 24 years. All right. If there's one thing that you wish you would have learned or you would have known about dentistry, is there something that pops into your mind?
Who's this for?
Anybody. anybody in dentistry right now, or anybody, let's think about it as a person that's going through dental school. What's one thing that you wish you would have known when you were in dental school about dentistry?
I wish. So the first thing that comes to mind for me when you ask that question is what I would have done differently 24 years ago would be simply that I would have got a mentor sooner. I would have got involved more. My biggest issue is I got out. I got into a solo practice. I had my head down. I was busting butt, and I was doing nothing other than going to work and going home. Going to work, going home. And so eventually I got to this point where I was really unhappy with dentistry. I thought there has got to be something better than this, right? And so eventually, as the ground settles and all that type of thing, and your concerns about your financials and where you're at with life, somehow I got my head through the water and I met up with Rise, a dentist in Seattle called Rise Spore. And he's an AACD guy. And that's how it all started for me in terms of I went to one of his presentations, then I ended up going to his hands-on course, and then just getting involved in that. And then with the involvement side of it, it just brought so many other avenues from other dentists, right? I mean, learning from other people and forming networks. And I just felt myself just kind of being relieved and getting out from underneath myself, realizing that there is more to life than going into your office, busting your ass, and going home unsatisfied. It's just, there's more to life. And we got to realize that at some point or another. So that would be my biggest thing, is just getting involved, finding like people, and finding things you like to do. I mean, dentistry isn't about you being able to do every procedure in the book. It's about doing the things you like to do, right? I mean, I remember muddling with endo for 10, 15 years, and I absolutely hate endo, right?
Oh,
and the only reason I did it is because it's a procedure and I needed to pay my bills, right? And I wasn't bad at it. Don't get me wrong. I didn't get sued or anything. But it wasn't my passion. It wasn't my thing that I wanted to do root canals. And so those things you don't want to do, get them out of your life. Become really good at the stuff you want to do and attract people for those different things. For me, it's cosmetics, and it's not cosmetics from doing 12 upper anterior veneers. It's more about maybe doing 2 or 3 teeth and blending to a smile, using a ton of composite to blend in, different things. Those are kind of my little passions and things I like to do. And I also love placing implants. So a little bit of blood and guts and a little bit of aesthetics. So that's the first thing that popped to my mind when you asked that question, Chad.
Troy,
Man,
would you
great
say,
answer.
Excuse me for 1 second, would you say that then the root of most of the dissatisfaction that you had was that you felt you were doing a lot of things that you didn't enjoy doing? You felt like you were only doing them to pay the bills. I mean, where would you say the root of your dissatisfaction in general dentistry came from? I mean, I get the whole, like, we all feel that way, that like once we found a great mentor, it's like, and once we found community, that our eyes opened up and our dental lives really opened up.
Yeah.
But what would you say was the thing that made you the most unhappy in your general practice?
Well, I wouldn't go necessarily with a procedure on that front. I would probably turn it a little bit more to the non-dental side and overall staff management and those type of things. That is really a challenge. I mean, I think we can all sit back and say, okay, dentistry is really not that complicated, but dealing with a staff is very complicated, or running a business to a certain degree, because it's overwhelming. So young doctors coming out of there right now, I would highly encourage you to be your own boss. I would highly encourage you to begin your own practice, because I think that's why I did what I did. Now, with that said, you got to realize a lot comes with those problems, and we all agree with that, right? So running your own business, you are not working 8 to 5. You are working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that you have a lot more responsibility, and you have to understand people. You really have to understand people, because your staff is what carries you, whether you like it or not. They're really what helps carry you to the end. And if you have a strong staff in place, it's amazing the doors you can knock down and the things you can do. But you really have to understand the business side of it, because that's a huge burden. And you guys know, like I did, when we came out of dental school, I think I had about 16 hours of business.
Yep.
whatever that was, right? And I don't even know what involved in it. I can't even remember the course to this degree because it was so, so far in the back of your mind. But really, that's huge, right? I mean, that's where your comfort levels come to, because you're doing dentistry, you're producing, and you have this business. And at the end of the day, where's the money? Where's the things at? Oh my God, I'm paying so many taxes, and I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall because I come and I look at my checking account and I have $10,000 in it. It's like, holy cow, what's going on here? So there's lots of frustrations in dentistry, but I will top it off with I would never do it any different. I would always be my own practice. I would always be my own boss. I may partner with someone, and I think that's a good avenue too that I would look into, is having a partner, and I've never done that, but I think partner really opens up a lot of opportunities for a business to grow, work different hours, just different things like that. I think creativity is important. But to answer your question, yeah, I think it really for me was more not the dental side. It was really more staff, business side type things.
I would totally agree. And I think some of the things that you said bring to light something that a lot of people think about, but they don't act upon. And so, if you don't mind, I think there's a lot of people out there that may be uncomfortable where they're at. And I know that you started off in the state of Washington.
Yeah.
And now you're in the Bay Area. And is that fair to say? Are you close to the Bay Area?
Yep. 20 miles from San Francisco.
Okay. So with that being said, how was that change? What prompted that change? And was that a huge change for you? I mean, you know kind of where I'm headed with this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know exactly where you're heading, because it's one of those things that you look back and you're like, God, I can't believe I did that. But really, just to get out to the brass tacks of it. So I was into my career of owning a practice about 16 years in Washington. So we had a great practice, did a remodel. Everything was great. Everything was perfect. And I should have been happy, but I wasn't happy. And I didn't really know why. I just didn't really understand exactly what my problem was. I mean, really, life's a grind too, right? So there's a lot of other factors that are involved other than dentistry. You have young kids, you have a wife. I mean, there's lots of stuff that go into it. But ultimately, with the dental side, I never really put it all together until 2011. Delta Dental came out and said, we are going to slash all of your prices 18 to 20% across the board. And I got the letter and it was like, holy cow, what are they saying? And I mean, because, dentists, I mean, not to bash on dentists, but we aren't the sharpest business people in the world. And so you get this letter, right? And I'm just like banging, I'm just like sleepless. I'm like, what does this mean? 18 to 20%. There's no way I can make that volume up. There's no way I can make this not hurt.
And hey, Troy, if you could interject, I think at that time, Washington, Delta represented over 90% of the insured patient population had Delta. So that was no small, it was no small letter.
No, it was monumental, right? So,
and it's not something you could say, I'm out.
I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Right. But I did.
I
did.
Right.
So I got to the
That's
point
bold.
where, so I started collaborating with my study clubs, people in my area, and I'm like, Jesus, what are you guys going to do? And I was just really disgruntled that no dentist really stood up and said, listen, this is BS. And I know there's collaboration laws and, whatever, all these things that insurance companies can come sue me or whatever, right? But I was on a rampage and, hey, we can't take this, right? We cannot take this. And so I'm like, I'm out, guys. I'm dropping. And so I dropped Delta, hoping all my buddies would come behind me. I'm going to war, right? I'm going to storm the gates. And I turn around and there's like,
we're all going streaking in the quad.
Yeah,
exactly. Come on, everybody's doing it.
So I'm sprinting and I turn around and there's no one behind me, right? I'm like, wow. So 2% of the dentists in Washington dropped after that announcement came out. And to be honest with you, I was just like, you know what? There has got to be something different. I'm extremely upset at this point. And it wasn't necessarily that I was going to lose income, right? I mean, yes, I knew that. But the point was, wow, we need to stand up as a profession to a certain degree and not allow this to happen. So lo and behold, I'm frustrated. And I thought there's got to be something new. So I put my thinking cap on and I started talking to people at UOP where I went to dental school. And I knew a lot of people at the school at that time. And I got the opportunity to come down and teach. And so I'm with my wife and she says, let's go for it. So that was the really good thing I had on my side, was a supportive wife that was like, let's do it. Let's take a leap, because it was a leap, right? So she's like, well, we better put the practice on the market to sell. And I'm like, okay, great. 3 days later, I got a full price offer. And I'm like, oh shit, this is like reality, right? So
Can you bleep that out, JB?
Oh, sorry. Is that? Oh, a little slow.
I know.
No,
I'm not a producer, y'all. I'm not a producer.
You can say the shit word. We're just jacking with you. I just
Oh,
want
okay.
to beep one more time.
I just want to push the button.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so then we make the track down to California, right? And we're all in, and I start teaching and enjoying life. It was different. It was really, I don't know, it was refreshing, to be absolutely honest with you. I was really enjoying myself. But no offense to any educators out there, it's a different world. And so when you come from private practice and you're calling your own shots, you're doing what you want to do when you want to do it. You're changing a product, right? You don't have to go through a committee that takes 16 months to approve a new flowable composite. It's that type of thing. And so eventually it kind of lost its love, so to speak. But I regained a whole new vigor for dentistry. I mean, it was awesome. And all of you, and you three should do this sometime if you get the opportunity, is to teach with young kids. I mean, it's awesome. You guys all like to teach. And it's so fun because they have so much energy, the energy that we all had at one point, and they bring it, man. I mean, they're excited for a buccal pit on number 30. I mean, right? Like, that's like a big day, right? And you're like, wow, okay, let's do this. So everything did. It took 4.5 hours to get that buccal pit done, but it was fun, right? It was.
I mean, shit. Our only choice is, do we anesthetize or not? You know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And we know 99% we're not going to, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then eventually I things kind of happened. And I don't know if you guys have been to California before, but it's really expensive here. And our taxes are great. It's a wonderful place, but you can't really afford to live in this particular area on a teacher salary, to be honest with you. It's really difficult. And we wonder why our dental education is probably not at the level we would like it. And a lot of it can be really ascertained to making a living. So lo and behold, back into my own routine that I was doing before. Fortunately, when I was in the dental school, I got the opportunity to meet a lot of manufacturers, companies like you all work with, and really kind of allowed me to catapult myself into a different direction in relationship to doing some public speaking and getting out, lecturing, and really just, at the end of the day, it was a godsend that I did what I did, because I've never been more happy with dentistry. I am completely insurance free, and that has been extremely liberating to me. And so my path has been on the trajectory in terms of could do dentistry for another 20 years. I hope I don't have to, but my goal is I could do that, because I really have a whole new life and sense of how great a profession we have, because we really do. And I think when we look I'm in my office right now, and I'm right across the street from a major hospital, and these poor guys that are over here, these doctors that I talk to often, they're miserable. I mean, they're absolutely miserable in what they do. And they're dropping. I mean, it's impossible to find a good doctor in our area anymore. I mean, my wife the other day called to make an appointment with a new doctor, and she said, we can see you. This was September. She just called. She goes, we can see you July of 2024. She's like, wow, really? What happens if something happens to me? Oh, you can go to urgent care. You can go to the urgent care, and then they can direct you to the emergency room if they need to. It's like, oh my God, is this where we're going? Yeah. And so ultimately, I'm proud of
where we're going.
What we do. Yeah. And, in terms of dentistry, we do a great job. I mean, you guys all take great care of your patients. And for me, it really proves the point that you can go out of network with insurances, because why? We have this standard that is so far high above what medical has now. We stand out. I mean, we're superstars, right? You call your patient at night and say, oh my God, how was your feeling? Are you feeling okay? They about fall on the floor, I mean, you guys all know that the customer service in this world is gone. The ability to take care of people is, questionable at this point. So anyway, you know, the long story short is, yeah, it was a wild ride. I don't regret doing any of it. I think the flexibility of being a dentist allows you to do some things that a lot of people don't look and say, you know what, I'm not happy. I want to make a change. Well, make a change. You have a degree in dentistry that a lot of people don't have. You just got to put some effort and some work into it to get to another level and create the environments you want to be in, because that's ultimately what happens, is create what you want, especially if you're your own boss. I mean, if you're running the show, create your world and live it.
And one thing, Troy, I think that we put too much pressure on is that it's okay to reinvent yourself a couple of times through your journey in dentistry. And I've seen so many people do it. In fact, you know, I'm looking at 3 individuals right now who've done that in some capacity or another. I think young doctors feel like there's all this pressure to get it right the very first time. And in fairness, I didn't know what I didn't know at the time. And you don't know until you've run your own business and worked through the trenches some to figure out what it is that you want in the long run. I think you can start to have an idea of what that goal looks like, but it's also okay to sort of experiment, to your point, like be okay to reinvent yourself through your journey and lean in and embrace that, because it's probably a natural part of a career.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the average job span here in the Bay Area with these tech companies is they change every 2.5 years. I mean, I think that's the average expectancy for someone to stay at some of these companies, right? I mean, they're changing every 2.5 years. I mean, we're talking guys that have been in dental practice for 50 years.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, it's insane that you can't think that you can't change and do something different. So exactly like you said.
Yeah.
Speaking
think
of
about
change,
how many, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chad.
that's okay. I was just going to say, speaking of change, JB, are those extensions or did you get a perm?
No, it's my real hair.
Is those extensions?
No, JB got a perm. I just want everybody to know JB got a perm. She went out and got a
I did.
perm.
They're back in, y'all.
It
They're
looks
back
good
in.
though. It looks nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm
No.
starting a trend.
Now that I threw everything for a loop, I just had to call you out,
Yeah,
JB. But
yeah.
hey, I just want to stress before Jeff goes into his question that a lot of times, and I think any of us can relate to this, if I've ever been lecturing in California, there's so many people that complain about, we can't do that here because it's all insurance. We can't do that here because this. I've never heard so many I can'ts and we can'ts, except when I'm lecturing in California. I just want the people that are listening to say, hey, listen closely, because Troy just told all of us how we or you can do what you want to do. And I thought that was just very powerful coming from the position you're in based upon what I've heard. Sorry, Jeff.
So no, that's fine. And
Sorry.
to that point, is there another profession that has a list of procedures that they are capable of doing or that they are legally allowed to do? I mean, have you ever looked at your fee schedule and how many of those procedures, you know, from the ADA, you know, coding, how many from the CPT codes, how many do you actually do? And so my point about that is like, why do we all feel that we have to do all of those procedures? Find the stuff that just really excites you, and you can cut out 75% of the procedures that are in those codes and just get really, really good at the stuff that excites you and learn how to make a profit doing that and just be the best at it, right? It doesn't matter what it is that you do, just be the best at it. Just, you know, offer something at a level that someone else can't do. But yet, I feel like in general dentistry, what you said earlier, Troy, that we all feel we have to do everything. You know, we have to be everything to our patients, and we really don't. You know, I mean, I get the whole super dentist thing, and that's wonderful for the people that really enjoy doing that. But for those who don't, I don't think that that's the only track to success, as you've proven.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's a bottom line too, is don't stress yourself out, right? I mean, and even from a business standpoint, I mean, let's talk about endodontists, right? I mean, what are they doing? They're doing endo all day, right? And their equipment's down low. They don't have as much supplies. They're tracking things differently than we are, where we're supposed to be general practitioners that can do everything. Well, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have, $20,000 worth of implants sitting in your storage if you're only placing 2 every month, right? I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So, from a business standpoint too, it does help to specialize in certain things because it allows you to kind of decrease your overhead, do some things a little bit differently. And it's more enjoyable, absolutely more enjoyable, I think, if you're doing what you like, right? I mean, that's kind of common sense, common reasoning type stuff.
But don't you think that there's pressure to, like, okay, implants are the big thing now, or cosmetics? Don't you feel like there's a pressure put on people? Okay, if you're not doing this, then you're not doing general dentistry, or
Right.
And I feel like some of those pressures are what make people unhappy in practice, because they're like, well, all these successful people are doing this, and I'm being told that this is what I need to be doing if I want to have a successful practice.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? I mean, I really do think we all get pressured into doing things. And probably social media is no help for that, right? I mean, you see all these guys with all these great stuff that they're doing, but they're putting implants and all these edentulous people, and I mean, all this stuff that's going on is just a little bit much. But yeah, I do think they feel pressure, right? And they feel pressure, especially with student loan debt, practice debt, whatever they may have, and they want to try to keep up. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't have to be that way, though. And it's real powerful too to say to a patient, "Hey, listen, I'm going to refer you to my friend down the street because he does a lot better than I do."
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I say when they say, "Well, why don't you do root canals?" Because you don't want me to do a root canal.
Yeah.
That's not what I do for you. And they really do appreciate that, right? I mean, I think they appreciate the honesty rather than knowing, because patients know when we're struggling with a procedure, right? I mean, it's not that. The downside of dentistry is we don't knock everybody out, right? I mean, that's the downside, right? Because a surgeon, you knock everybody out and there's a party in the surgical room, right? We, on the other hand, have to watch what we say. We have to be careful with our choice of words. We can't sweat on the patient, all those type of things that can happen. So
I don't know. I'm thinking about bringing Jennifer in with the beep button in my office.
Yeah.
My favorite phrase, we were talking about this last week in Tulsa, is, I refer all of my endo. I hate endo. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to see it again in my life. If I'm doing endo, it's on number 8 with a patent canal, and it's going to take me 15 minutes. Otherwise, it's going to Dr. Walsh. And so we were talking last week, and, you get this a lot of times where a patient says, why can't you do this? And years ago, I might have been swayed into doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I realized, what, screw this, I just don't like it, I just started saying, what, would you go to your family practitioner who recommended that you go in for open heart surgery and say, why don't you just go ahead and do it? And the patient, is probably not going to do that,
Yeah.
And the family practitioner says, you know what? And you also need brain surgery. And the patient's not going to say, well, could you do that?
Yeah, that's true. Right?
I really don't want to drive across
I want
town.
to stay
I
in
really
this
don't.
office right here. So it's a matter of communication. But I think, one of the things that I see a lot. And so now let's talk to dental students again, or people who may be having questions in their careers. And I think that every one of us probably thought for a minute about specializing in dental school. So let's go around. Let's start with Troy and see what you thought about specializing in and why you didn't.
So it's funny you said that, because I just hired a young girl here, and she's taking a gap year, and she wants to go to dental school next year. Her big thing is to be an orthodontist. And so we had this conversation today. It's very funny you said that. And she said, why didn't you specialize? And I said, I thought of every profession, right, except for pedo. Sorry, any pedodontists out there. That's just not my gig. I don't know how you guys do it, by the way. I tip my hat to every pedodontist out there.
100%.
Yeah, but ultimately, I started looking at the situation, and the only one that really I would be an oral surgeon if I had to do it over again, just because I kind of like the blood and gut side of things. But once I started looking at perio and I looked at pedo and endo and all of that, I thought to myself, I can't do that for my whole life. I love that general dental specialty where I can do a little bit of everything, or I can do none of it, or I can pick and choose. And that's kind of what took me down the general practice road, to be absolutely honest with you. Nothing really just stuck with me like, oh my God, this is my passion. So that was mine.
Jeff?
I actually thought that after coming out of my residency that I wanted to be an oral surgeon. And I loved doing surgery. We had a lot of surgical exposure. When I was in dental school, we had a great oral surgery clinic, and actually applied and went on several interviews. And the more I thought about it and the more I saw and talked with the residents who were having to do, these calls and having to do hospital call once they're out, I thought, is that really the life that I want with my family? Do I want to always be going out and, fixing the guy who got hit with the pool stick, in a bar fight? Is that really what I want to do? And so then I came to the realization, no. Funny enough, I got really into orthodontics very early in my career. And, so I thought, well, this is amazing. I want to be an orthodontist. And the more I went down that road, actually applied to several ortho programs, interviewed it. I did. I interviewed at several programs. And then really it was talking to the residents and in going around and doing that, I realized, wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm limiting myself to only one thing when I can really oversee everything. And so it's interesting, but those are the two that I actually thought about, applied to, and actually went on interviews for.
JB?
Well, I don't want to be anybody's bitch. I want to be the quarterback. No.
Oh, shit.
You've got to be.
Yeah. I don't want to be.
Damn it. You're late on the button again.
I know. I didn't even beat I kind of wanted the effect, if I'm being really honest.
No, it was good. It was perfect.
I did all the rotations. I liked all of it, except I really never latched to endo, but everything else I could kind of envision doing. But then I realized I would then be working for everybody else again. And the whole point of going to dental school was I could be my own boss and sort of, run my own show. And I think, a lot of specialists are still having to report back to other individuals who are sort of directing and guiding care. And I wanted to sort of be that quarterback for patients and be their advocate, frankly, and make sure that they get the care that they deserve. So that was really what resonated well with my personality. How's that?
JB, I'm going to piggyback on that and say, first of all, I love what you just said. Second of all, I remember as a young dentist, all the specialists taking me out to dinner and their wives sitting there and get ready with the button and them making all this small talk, taking all these people out to dinner that they could not give a about. Nicely done.
Thank you.
But
thank you.
I don't want to be that person that has to convince people to send to me. Send to me because I'm a great clinician. Send to me not because I'm going to send you a TV set at Christmas time and take your wife out for a steak and lobster dinner. I wanted, that was just so, that was such a moment for me that I knew I couldn't be a specialist.
All specialists have left the group. Just
Yeah, I know.
a mass exodus of people. No offense to any specialist.
No more steak and lobster for any general dentist.
We don't want to do what you're doing. Chad, how
No
about
more
you?
big screen TVs.
Yeah. Honey baked hams.
So I went to school to be, I thought I was going to be an oral surgeon. And then I met this guy the first day of class, like literally freshman year orientation, that introduces himself. And all of my classmates know exactly who I'm talking about. He may be watching, and I love you, buddy. But he walks up to me and says, "Hey, I'm so-and-so, oral surgery." And I was like, "You're a dick." I'm sorry. You can't call your shots when you don't even have a grade yet. And so anyhow,
Wow.
I went through dental school thinking I wanted to be an oral surgeon. And then the only route that I would have gone would have been medical school. And I was like, I was married my third year in dental school. I just was like, I was like, I can't do this to my family. I want to have a family. I don't want to go through medical school. I don't want another 6 years. And then I really liked endo. I hate to say it because it's a total 360, but I loved endo. I thought, okay, I could be an endodontist. And then when it really came down to it, I didn't want to be finding those fourth and fifth canals on maxillary molars. I didn't want to be digging through all the shit that regular dentists can't test. I wanted to be able to just do the easy stuff. And so I ended up realizing, all right, I like a little bit of everything. I really like JB said, perfect analogy. I love being the quarterback. And I love the relationships that we develop with our patients. Now, with all of that being said,
can I just say one thing though? I do wish there were a CDT code for quarterbacking.
Yes.
I would really like a quarterbacking
Right.
CDT
Yeah.
code.
Yeah. There's definitely a time element there.
Yeah,
isn't
for
there?
sure.
Definitely not Aaron Rodgers.
I may
number.
propose it and throw in the quarterbacking code.
So, but I would say this: there are two specialties that I absolutely four absolutely averse to: community health, pediatrics, and prosthodontist and perio.
Oh,
And the thing is that as I go through my career, I almost think if I had to do it all over again, because I could be doing a lot of what I like to do still, pros, perio.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Pros to me. I love my prosthodontist friends. I didn't get it in dental school. I was too tuned in on dentures and partials. And by the way, just for the record, I love dentures, but I really think pros and perio, those two things kind of merged together. And now they're doing these combined residencies. I'm like, that would be fun. But I do love what I do. I love, once again, the relationships. Whatever I do, it would have to revolve around relationships and helping people. I know that we all help people, but I think that as a general dentist, you get to help people for longer periods of time. I've been in practice long enough. The kid that I saw the first day of practice was in last week, and he's now got kids.
wow.
And I'm seeing second and third generations. The sad part is I'm watching people age and I'm watching people pass, but you know what? It's a fact of life, and I love it. And I love the relationships that I've built over the years. Some of my best friends have come out of being patients, and I'd never turn that in.
Wow, you date your patients?
Well, that's how I met my wife. She broke number 8. She came in, she was missing it. I was like, damn, baby, that is
in a bar fight.
Yeah, on a beer bottle.
No, I really do love the relationships that we've built with patients.
I think you're right on that, Chad. I think the relationship is the only thing you get in general. I mean, the other ones.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in, they're out, and coming in pain or whatever, right? Or they get old and graduate out of the pedo chair, and but it's a good profession for sure, and I think we're all pretty happy with that.
I think so too, and we're kind of we've filled this hour with some great information. We're coming to a close. I just Troy, I can't thank you enough, man. I mean, you're just such a breath of fresh air, buddy. You just as always, man. It's a lot of fun to have you on here. So I'm gonna do something different tonight. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Oh,
I'm gonna let you close this out, man. Closing remarks and let it roll, Donk.
It was I didn't know what to expect coming on. I haven't heard from you guys, and you all of a sudden just said just kind of tune in at 5:45 or whatever it was my time. I was like, wow, this should be interesting. I didn't know what if Jeff was going to be dressed up or unicorn outfit or what, but I think the great thing is that I'm happy to be a part of this. Like I said before, you guys do an amazing job, and I love this platform, and I just love that we have the ability to get together and chat. For all of you that are out there, hopefully you enjoy it as much as I do. Stay involved. Keep living the dream. It's hard. We all know it's hard. If you need help, reach out. I mean, that's what it's about. It's just staying involved. Dentistry is a great profession. I would never, ever do another thing again. If I had to re-choose another profession, I would do this again. I've enjoyed it. It's been a rough ride, but I don't think anything in life is easy unless you have a little bit of bumps, right? I mean, you got to have a few bumps to really look at the end and enjoy life. So thank you guys. I appreciate you having me on. It's always great. Hopefully I'll see you guys at the ADA. I'll be there. You guys will be there. We'll definitely get together and have a few cervezas or something in that category. And but thanks again, you guys. It's always great seeing you, and I can't wait to see you in person.
Love
Thanks,
you, Schmedster.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Great
guys.
show.
And that wraps up another podcast for Dentists in the Know. On behalf of Dr. Jennifer Bell, Dr. Chad Duplantis, and myself, remember that we've got a great profession, so let's make it a great day, Dinks.